Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, here in New York City at 10th Cloud Expo New York. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening if you're following this general session out there on the World Wide Web via Syscon TV's 2.5 million pages in which it's embedded. Up next, we have something that's been missing from Cloud Expo, I will be the first to admit, mea culpa. What about UI? UI for the cloud, UE, as Anthony is going to tell us about. Anthony Franco, president of Effective UI, who last spoke for me, I think, 5 years ago. Where have you been all my life, Anthony? Come along. Catch up.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Is it still morning? I wanted to start out by giving a little street cred for myself here. I am a proud geek. Some would say I'm a reformed geek. This is me at my 16th birthday. Very excited to get my solar-powered calculator. So I identify with a lot of the language that's here, and I used to be a developer, so I have a computer programming background. But I'm gonna look at what we've been doing in our industry for quite a while, and kind of come at it sideways for you today. I am one of the founders and the president of a company called Effective UI. We were recently acquired by the world's largest marketing company, WPP, Marketing Holding Group. We're the founding user experience agency. I don't use that term anymore. You'll understand why, hopefully, in a little bit. But that's a little bit about Effective UI. We have a booth here, so if you want to find out more about us, this isn't a sales pitch. I'm going to go into a couple of our tenets. Biggest question we've gotten so far, why are we here? What's a user experience company doing at a Cloud Expo? We're actually very excited about what the cloud can do to inspire new user experiences on the web. And hopefully, when I'm done, you guys will figure out why we're here. I have this, what I'm calling the Human Plus Manifesto. It's a little bit lengthy and wordy. I'm going to read this to you, so it's not really meant for a presentation, but I thought it might inspire some thought, and then we'll go in some principles and tactics on how to work through some of the things that I'm talking about here. So I'll begin. Since the first days of early man, we have pushed the boundaries of gathering and sharing information. Early in our history, we shared stories, fables, myths to communicate values, lessons, and historical context. Paper technology allowed us the ability to share our wisdom for all time, and the printing press gave us the ability to distribute to more than just the anointed few. Ink is mightier than sword, so we endeavored to create faster ways of distributing words we inked. Napoleon's 1970 semaphores. Morris's 1837 telegraph. Bell's telephone. And Licklider's ARPANET. All inventions designed in the race to deliver faster, ubiquitous, and affordable information. And simultaneously, inventors sought to enhance human capabilities through mechanization. The first programmed machine was a loom. The tabulating machine in 1936. The Turing machine, which was a conceptual machine that was finally realized with ENAC. All of these machines were designed in the race to automate human capabilities. The arguably predictable advances in telecommunications, storage, computing power, and binary abstraction gave us the ability to commoditize delivery, infrastructure, platforms, and software. An engineering monument of fiber, silicon, and code. We are now faced with innovating a new era for humanity, an era where human condition is transformed with technology. There's a movement out there called Humanity Plus. We're in the era of Humanity Plus. Cloud computing is merely the modest first step. Historically, people in power clutch to their own existence at the peril of others, and we're no exception. I would argue that we have kept technology to ourselves to maintain power. We seek to solve problems as engineers, not as people. We embrace our moniker geek because we are too distracted, or worse, too apathetic to look up from our monitors and beyond our cubicle. We have begun to believe our own press that we will inherit the earth. Pride is always followed by a great fall. We must lose our technophile bigotry before we become relegated to the ranks of tech support. We must stop dehumanizing people by relegating them as users. There's something in it for us. Both the private and public sectors that rely on the internet have been stuck in an integration and maintenance eddy. They needed the elastic infrastructure, platform, and software capabilities of cloud computing before they could disrupt the status quo. Finally, they can break free of their own legacy platforms and start providing their customers differentiating digital products and services. These organizations' demands have begun to surpass our fiber, silicon, and code priorities. I submit to you that we must elevate our goals and meet the commercial and humanitarian needs of our society. Cloud computing is the foundation for easy-to-deploy composite applications. But those applications will live or die on the acceptance of their interfaces. I find that the barrier for IT to UI is mostly philosophical. I'm going to give you some UI principles that for user experience experts are kind of the building blocks, foundational. They're almost boring to us by now, but I'm hoping that some of these things will come to grip you and think about things in a slightly different way. So first, I'm going to talk about opacity. Effective human interfaces should be opaque. Every once in a while, I love these technological gadgets that show the engineering inside of them. But this is how we give our interfaces to all of our customers. I used to work in Warner Brothers in feature post-production, in special effects, actually. And my mentor there was walking me through in my first week. And he was pointing out, he's like, have you ever seen a movie where you noticed a really cool special effect? I'm like, yeah, that happens to me all the time. He says, that's when we have not done our job. When you look at something and go, that was a cool special effect. We've broken you out of the connection in the movie. And we do that all the time. We interrupt users' experiences and lives by putting technology in front of them instead of just getting out of the way. As we develop UIs, technology needs to be gone. It needs to be opaque, not transparent. Effective human interfaces should be approachable. This is a very simple example of how we make huge mistakes in approachability. We, as businesses, we have our objectives come first in a UI. So this, if you ever want to take a look, and this is a Forrester quote, Juan Rogowski said to me, if you want to know how unorganized a business is, take a look at their website. This is a lot of competing objectives that are business-centric, not user-centric. This is complexity at its worst, and it's bad for the business, but it's also very bad for the user. Effective human interfaces should be adaptive. Again, very common example. This is VMware's mobile site, quote-unquote mobile site. It does not adapt to me when I go to their site to my mobile device. It's their regular website. This is a very simple fix. There's no reason why VMware can't have a website that is mobile, that adapts to the UI, or if not a mobile site, at least use responsive design techniques to make sure their existing site looks great on a mobile device. This is not a business not adapting to the user. It's making the user conform to them and saying, hey, no, they can zoom in, or they can turn their phone sideways. These are really simple examples of much deeper concepts. They should be intuitive. Let's put this guy out of work. I'm tired of hearing this guy on the phone. You need computer skills. We need to stop requiring people to have computer skills to use the technologies we build. And they need to be beautiful. There's something about humanity that we appreciate beautiful things. And I don't think I need to show you, I can show you a lot of examples of things that aren't beautiful on the web. There's not a lot of great examples of things that are beautiful. There's just not. The folks that built this, they know it. They get it. They get it. And they're not awesome at it. They're just killing the rest of us. And as I say that, they must have heard me. My iPad just crashed. All right. I'll move on. Let's get a little bit deeper in the practice. Here we go. So some tactics in deploying these philosophies. An effective tactic to creating great human interfaces: use research to gain empathy. Research is a critical component in understanding human behavior and understanding how to develop and design for people that are going to be using our technology. The argument to that is always told to me is, well, Steve Jobs didn't do user research. He didn't need it. That is, that they're absolutely right, and there's a very good reason for that. Research's purpose is to give us empathy and to feel human pain, to feel our customers' pain. Steve Jobs was the user. There is no better person to design a product than the person that's going to be using the technology. He designed the iPhone for himself. So he had the ultimate empathy. Since a lot of us are building things for people that aren't us, if you're not carrying a bag, you're not a salesperson, and you're developing a sales portal, you don't have empathy. You're a designer or a developer. If you're developing something for doctors or lawyers, you're not that person. So you need to get some empathy and start becoming the user. And research helps you do that. If a research company wants to deliver you reports, they're not doing their job right. They have to deliver you empathy. It means you should be part of the research process. The second tactic that I'll talk about is design is not a process step. This is often a very common mistake when I see project plans where they have, the discover, design, deliver, deploy methodology. This is not how good software products work. Design and engineering need to be both pulled forward and work together over a project plan. This is kind of a map of what a resource plan might look like. And then you map over the areas that you're going to need to be concerned about. So you discover, you synthesize, validate those findings, prototype, develop, and support. This is a general project plan, and I know there's not anything innovative here, outside of the fact that I want you to think about that you need to pull forward as an engineer into the design process, and you need to pull design through the entire development process and iterate. Don't require specifications before you start building. Great products aren't built that way. Great products are built through prototypes, which is my next slide, my next point. Everything is a prototype. Every design that's created. Let me ask a question of the audience. How many here have been through a typical waterfall process where you design everything up front and then you build through it? Agile process. How many here have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, good. So a waterfall process says you design everything up front and then you build it and then that's the product. Of those that have been through a waterfall project, has the product ever looked like what the design looked like? Never. It doesn't work. And even in agile processes, we wind up missing a lot of things that users need. and maintenance costs skyrocket. There's a stat, 80% of all software that's built, 80% of the cost is in maintenance. It's unforeseen maintenance costs. And think about that in your own, if you think about big enterprise and large companies, about 80% of all of their IT departments focused on maintaining what they have. We can fix that by prototyping during the development phase, bringing design through the development process, and testing with users. So every design, every wireframe is a prototype to what it may be. The final definition of a product is the product itself. And I talked through this entire thing, but this is an example of a wireframe that we put in front of users and tested during the development process. And the final point I'm gonna leave with you today is evangelize the cause. Again, as technologists, we often find that we just kind of get it. We know what the right thing is. The rest of the business that we work for doesn't. We fail to validate what it is that we're doing. And one of the ways we do this, is obviously you build business cases and ROI studies after discovery, but we also make sure we go back and sell the vision back to the business. This is what we heard from your customers, what your customers want. This is how this thing is going to potentially look. This is how we're going to answer some of your customers' pains, how we're going to merge all of your 14 different portals into one unified user experience. This vision demo was used to sell the entire project. It got more funding, broke some of the chains free from a what is it that you're doing perspective. So evangelizing what you're doing in visual terms back to the business is a very powerful weapon to actually build great human interfaces. That's the Quest Vision demo. My plea to you, build exceptional human interfaces. Our legacy will be written by the interfaces we create. Nobody's going to remember the cloud. They're only going to remember the interactions that humans have with the technology.